Yes, there is a usual saying amongst big-time investors and entrepreneurs. They'll tell you that money goes where it is comfortable, where it finds peace. And then when we talk about Southeast development, we also talk about how can we bring Southeast to that destination where it should be. Several governors in the Southeast are trying as much as possible to ensure that the investment and the GDP growth rate in the Southeast is upped. However, are they doing enough, and what can be done to address some of the issues that comes with the development of the region? So this morning we'll be looking at maximizing trust for Southeast development. What can we do as a people to ensure that people find Southeast as a destination point to invest their monies? So this morning that will be our topic. That will be our question as well, as we look at this very important topic, maximizing trust for Southeast development. And I have with me this morning Sebastian Okoye, public affairs analyst and an entrepreneur as well. Good morning and welcome to our studios.
Good morning.
Yes. Like I said when I started, people usually tell you that money grows where it is comfortable. People take their money where they feel that this money would not be lost. They look at the risk and everything and then invest. Now, let's look at Southeast even beginning. Do you think Southeast is where you should be looking at it base of entrepreneurs, people who are commercially minded and industry minded as well?
Well, any way you look at it, Southeast is our own. I've always been a proponent of preaching you know, the Akulono mantra, you know, for people to invest in the Southeast. But the fear is just what we have in the media. It doesn't give confidence, you know. Some of the things in the media are true, but they are blown out of proportion. So, but if something is done about it, people can regain confidence and come back.
Okay, but talking about things that are in the media, like you said, they could be blown out of proportion, but there are existing issues that raise concerns. Now, what are those issues that Southeast generally have as challenges that they should really look into and talk about if we are going to attract necessary investment and build that region that boosts of economic comfort, I would say?
You know, just like the topic goes, social media negativity and all those stuff, you know, it did not start today. It did not even start in the era of social media. It started long ago, and it has been neglected. And as such, we've been stereotyped. You understand? We've been stereotyped, and it's affecting the narratives. And then of recent, with the advent of social media, our people, I don't know if it's particular to people of the Southeast, but our people have been, they've not been comfortable with criticisms on the media space. You know, they resort to cyberbullying and other forms of harassment just to shut opposition down, which to me is not the ideal thing, you know. So, but I think if the government becomes very conscious about it, I know that this is a very, very, this is a unique problem. You know, they'll find solutions for it. Yeah.
So how do we begin to address some of these issues? Because when you talk about trust or confidence building for the Southeast to attract the necessary investment, you are talking about what do people see? What do they hear about that region? Why would I take my money there despite these things I'm hearing? So what do you think that government should begin to do, or governments in the Southeast should begin to do to address some of these challenges?
Well, change the narrative. You know, government ought to promote positive narratives because you cannot just keep quiet about an issue. There's a saying in the Igbo language that ajife boaro, or menana. You know, if you keep quiet for too long, people will accept what they have in front of them as the truth. So government has to change the narrative and then promote social media literacy, and then in those days...
Sorry, before you go far, when you talk about changing the narrative, what are you referring to exactly?
You know, we cannot be as bad as they say we are. We at least have some positive sides to us. Let the world see it.
Okay.
And gradually they will forget the ill stories. You know, if we promote the positive narratives, you know, it will douse the
misgivings.
Misconceptions that is available in the media.
All right, let's talk about partnership across governments. You talk about the 5 Southeast states, Anambra, Imo, Enugu, Abia, and Ebonyi states. And then the gateway to the southeast, which is from the Niger River, Asaba Delta State, and all those. How can these governors work together, work in partnership to ensure that these developments are not just priority areas for the governors, but for the region? We know that there is Southeast Governors Forum, and I've gotten to see their magazines. They talk about the achievements of each of the governors. But how can we have a harmony amongst these governors to have, well, I say, one agenda for the region, so that this development will spiral across and then produce the necessary results it's supposed to produce for the region?
Well, your thoughts are valid and then commendable, but what will hinder the Southeast governors from achieving this is intentionality.
Okay.
If they are not intentional about it, there is nothing they can achieve. Because just like you highlighted, in their magazine, they highlight, oh, I've painted so flyover, I've done this, my people are clapping for me. Now, how does it translate to, you know, expand the reach of your government to the neighboring states, such that you look at what is happening in the neighboring state, you say, this is part of my input. And not like it's something you go bragging about, but you see
it is an impact of what you've done, yes.
Yes, it's an impact of what you've done. You know, they don't have that intentionality. You see, things like there are some roads that I learned that could lead to Enugu State from other parts of Anambra, other than this Enugu-Onitsha road. But can these governors come together and say, okay, you bring so amount, you bring so amount, let's link our communities. You know, if there's a place that a bridge is required, you know, the meeting point, they fund it together and then open up development in that area. But you don't have that intention, you know. I don't know what to say about it.
How can we change how can they change this mindset? How can they begin to adopt this? Because it is not just pointing out that the intention is there or the, will I say, the partnership. The intention might be there, but the partnership might be delaying or not happening as we expect it. How can they make it as quick as possible?
Well, I would have said form a regional forum, but they already have it.
Okay.
You know, the problem we have in Nigeria is that we have a whole lot of legislation and other things on documents, but we lack implementation. I am sure these people, when they meet, they don't just come to brag of how I made Onitsha safe, how I painted Oka, how I did that, and all that. I'm sure they talk about some other things, and then they leave it at that discussion table. You know, that is where I keep hammering on intentionality. I'm sure these people are not as daft as coming to say, Your Excellency, I have developed my state more than you, you know. But practicalize what they've discussed. I have not seen it.
All right, let's talk about, because there's no way we'll have this discussion without talking about the security situation in the Southeast. Beyond the security situation, you talk about people, non-state actors who implement unsavory policies where people are told not to come out on particular days to do business. And if I'm a businessman from outside and I'm seeing it from that point of view, I will never be encouraged to put my money there if there are days that you don't get to work, no flight comes into the region and all those. How can we also change that mindset? That ultra, or will I call it hyper-nationalism mindset that is also hindering our development. When we see other people from the angle of hate, we don't see investments coming out from people who are not from our region, but economically can benefit us. How can we address some of those things?
You see, media engagement is important. On the social media space, you engage people and you make yourself accessible as a government, and then you hold town hall meetings, you know, from time to time. And then from time to time, you go to the media space, whether social media, whether conventional media like this, local media, and then you give account of what you've done. And then, you know, make the people own the government. Because, okay, and then again, you engage influencers, media space influencers. Growing up, there is this advert that Zebuldiah does. I think he does it for National Orientation Agency. You know, encouraging people that this is not how you adore something. All those is fine grammars, you know. Government should engage, like in Nigeria of today, we have very powerful influencers. We have very dark man.
But do you think influencers can actually sell this point? Because at a point, you look at it and you discover that people controlling the narrative in the Southeast are not even people who we consider as opinion leaders. You see someone who is outside the country. I listened to an audio message that someone sent out when Bianca Ojukwu was nominated as minister, and said several castigated her in such a disparaging manner. And those person that was making that video is not an opinion leader, but the video was viral, going far. And for it to go far, I will tell you that people are believing the story. That is why they are sharing and resharing it. So how do we begin to look at it? Because if the people who, like you said, are public opinion influencers or opinion leaders in their communities are no longer controlling the narrative, it actually might find it difficult to adopt that system.
Okay, let me tell you something. That video you are referring to went viral because that person jumped on the trend. If after 1 year, that guy makes that video, people might not listen.
Okay.
But it's in the period where that video in his little mind has the tendency of disqualifying the person he's disparaging. You understand? So at that point, she was not confirmed yet.
Yes.
Now, that video was intended to, as Bianca's nomination is trending, everything that contains Bianca, either a name or audio pronunciation of the name Bianca, will join the trend. You know the power of hashtags.
Yeah.
You understand? Anything Bianca will just join the trend. That is why that video went viral. Now, let me tell you, why I mentioned social media influencers is, look at the content they are creating. Many of those content, they created it with current happenings. You know, some will come out, and if they want to talk about incessant shootings, they'll show a scenario where people are living their normal lives, and then all of a sudden,
people start running.
People start scampering for safety.
Yeah.
And then they will say they are this thing, and then it goes. They will add some element of comedy that will get people enticed. People will watch it and share it on various platforms. Now, if these persons that are amplifying the ills of government becomes promoters of the positive sides of government, what do you think will be the decision? Now, this guy that is abroad, that is disparaging Bianca Ojukwu, apart from the organized media like you and then the
Some
online
others.
platforms
Yes.
and all that, you know, the other source of information he gets is from influencers and opposition elements. Now, for opposition elements and uncultured critics, there should be social media regulation. There should be social media regulation. You know, like we have in the social media space, there are some words that when you use them, your post might not be posted, your account might be blocked temporarily or permanently. You know, there are some videos that you do not share without warning. You warn, this is graphic image, and then the AI picks it that this guy has secured the populace. You understand? Such that when the receiver is seeing it, it's first of all blurred with the warning on it. If he goes ahead, you are indemnified.
Yeah.
You understand? Now, the government should create, you know, some modalities for checks on the social media space. And then they should be the one to push their own narratives. Let me tell you something. Okay, community engagement. Let me borrow from the immediate past governor. Some persons might mark him low on many things, but community engagement. Look at this community choose your project initiative. Now, as little as it is, it impacted every community. Every community has something positive to say about him. You understand? Apart from road infrastructure, connecting communities, there should be projects that touch each and every community. Like, you know, I don't know how to put it.
All right. Finally, let's talk about security. If you find your way to be in a place that the issue of security in the Southeast region is being talked about, what would be your three advice, your three major advice to people who are the major players in the security architecture of the Southeast region, not just Anambra State?
Okay. Now, the number one is to change and champion their own narrative. That's number one. Number two is to address inter and intra-community conflicts. Take Oka, for example. The titled chiefs and the chiefs contesting for the throne of Oka, they are not bigger than the government. They are not. The government can call them to order if there is intention. And when the government calls them to order, the security situation in Oka will have been addressed by 60 to 70%. Because chief among the insecurity in Oka and Metropolis is this communal conflict. Then another this thing I would say is, you know, we have been so fragmented. You know, we are talking about Southeast, right?
Yes, exactly.
Imus have their perception about Anambra people and their neighboring states. Anambrarians have their own perception about other states. Now, if we can kill these elements of fragmentation, and form a cohesive region. You know, like promote an ideology that people will accept and run with. You know, make the people own. See, any project you are running as a government, as a community leader, that the people do not own, you might achieve it, but it will come at a very big cost. But seamlessly, you can achieve your project if you make the people own it.
Okay.
Make the people see that if this thing works, it is for your own good. If Enugu and Anambra become seamlessly harmonized in boundary and economics and other fruitful ventures, it will, you know, it will benefit you. For example, those roads I told you that could lead to Enugu, lead to Abuja from different parts of Anambra State. Imagine the economic overhaul
that will
happen around that.
If there's a partnership to do some of those roads.
Do you understand?
Yeah. All right, thank you. Because of time, I'll take that advice from you as your ending note on the program. Thank you very much, Sebastian Okoye. He's been speaking to us on maximizing trust for Southeast development. We examined how can we ensure that Southeast gets to the destination where it should be, investment-wise, economic-wise, boosting our GDP and making sure that international and local investors make Southeast their destination point. And not just Southeast, Anambra also in particular. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. And also for always being at hand to join us whenever we reach out to you. Thank you for coming. All right, we'll now take you to our breakfast news studio for breakfast news at 8.